All right, so in this video, I'm gonna translate two Latin sentences. These are the ones I have in class for the kids for week 9, which is the section of Henley where we learn and talk about the pars declension inside the third declension. So I'm just going to do a translation. I'm going to talk you through exactly how the way I talk the kids through how to do their translating work. So I hope you can still hear me from down below here. All right, so I've got my colored markers. If your student isn't using colors, that's fine. They can just underline without the colors. The important thing is all of the steps that we are about to go through. I would say probably, unless you're struggling, you can probably do all the steps like a couple times a week just to make sure that they have the order of operations basically down in their head, because later when it gets more complicated, they'll have to fall back on doing everything in order. Most of the kids at this point are almost able to translate in their head, which is excellent. That's what we're going for. So these steps, I make them drag out through all of this in class to make sure they get it occasionally. But they don't have to do this for every single sentence unless they're having trouble. Then you would bring it back, do the steps, figure out where you were going wrong, and move on. So if the kids don't need to slow down this much, that's okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use my colors. You can just use your pencil, and you need to mark the endings or all the words, either the endings of the nouns or the word itself if it's a whole part of speech, in the right color for the declension. And that'll be helpful later on to make that decision ahead of time. It will keep you from getting so confused. So moms, if you're the ones that are confused, you go ahead and do this. So we're going to go for verbs in yellow because we always do verbs first. While we're underlining, it doesn't matter, but if you always do verbs first, you always do verbs first, and that's the way it is. So we have sunt. There we go. Okay. Now, Galia. It doesn't really matter which ones we underline because we're not translating yet. The A is in the first. Galii is in the first declension, so it's pink. In is a conjunction, so it's dark purple. And silvi is in the first declension. And see how I'm underlining just the ending, because then when we go to translate, it'll be super easy to look it up on the chart. Okay, et means and that is a fanboy. That is a, I'm going to have to say all my things. That is a conjunction. So there's an et, and there's an et. Okay, and here we have two of our new words from third declension, pars ending, montes, long E says a, montes, and coles. Okay, so there we have all of everything marked. Now we start translating, and we always start with the verb. So sunt means are. It also means there are. So it could be either one. It doesn't really matter because there, as you know from essentials and probably remember, is an expletive. You don't really have to have it unless it's an adverb, and we're not talking about that. So I'm going to write there are, and if there doesn't seem to fit the sentence, then we'll just take it away. There are. Okay, so what are? Your nominative or your subject is usually going to be at the beginning of the sentence, and it's usually going to be before your being verbs. So we're going to go ahead, and here we have a preposition, and we know that prepositions can only take certain cases. So in, it takes the ablative, and so it's a good idea to go ahead and note that. This has to have an ablative, and in means in. Easy translation, in or on. It could be on, so you would choose the right one based on what you find. Okay, Galia. We're going to bring down our chart. That's an A with a long macron over it. And here we have first declension, which we already marked, so we don't have to remember it again. We just see that it's pink, know that it's first declension. Come down here to ah, and see that it's ablative, because we could have guessed that, because in only takes an ablative. So in this sentence, this is going to be our subject, and it does not have a nominative ending simply because it's following a preposition. This is basically a prepositional phrase, And this prepositional phrase has to end in an ablative. That's just the rule. So Gallia is going to be Gaul. So it's not actually going to be by, with, from Gaul necessarily. It's just going to be Gaul in the ablative because the preposition said so. So in Gaul. In Gaul there are. We're getting partway there. All right. So Silwa Silwai. We have forests. And which forests are there? There are what? It's going to be forests. So it's either going to be there are of the forest, because that's one of our I's. There are two for the forest. Neither one of those actually fit there being anything. But here our last I, there are forests, plural. That makes the most sense and fits the sentence. So we're going to say forests, plural. And et means and. I'm just going to put the little Andy sign there. Okay, montes. We've already discovered and decided in our heads that this is third declension. That's why we used red. So we don't have to go back and, I don't remember. What did I decide that was? It's there. So we need to look for our long E, ace, in our ending. And I will give you a clue that this and that connects Silwai et Montes et Coles, that's going to give you an indication that these are probably all going to be the same part of speech, because this is basically a long list of the things that are all joined together with ands. So we can look down here into all the red is third declension. Masculine and feminine and I stem are all the same. It doesn't actually matter which stem these are. In this case, both of the aces are nominative and plural. So it doesn't matter if it was I stem or not I stem, pars or lex. So the with plural. So montes was mountain. We need to make it plural. Mountains. And coles. And the word coles means hill. And again, we don't even need to go back to the chart because the ace is going to be the plural ending. Hills. Okay. That was it's a pretty fast way to do it. We could have definitely done the GNC for gender number case beforehand, but like I said, at this point, most of the kids are able to do everything up to the level where we are now just with looking at the chart and picking it up one at a time. All right, let's do this one. And these are the two I have for school, so I'll do them for you. So first we're going to go through and find the verbs. We have est means is and est means is, and that's it. All right, let's start at the beginning. Christus Christi is second declension. Rex is third declension. Just checking to make sure I'm doing it right from my notes. Hominum is also third declension. Don't let this throw you off. It sounds like it's going to be second declension neuter because there's an but there are more on the chart than just second declension neuter. There's some in second declension masculine, and obviously there are some in third declension, and they're in a different noun job. So when you have one of these words that you should know ahead of time that, oh, look, this is a new word, it's going to be different, and prepare yourself for that. You need to say homo, homines. You always go back to the dictionary form if you are at all uncertain. Homo, homines is the dictionary form for this one. And the is ending tells you it's third declension, so it's third declension. Okay? Sed is a conjunction. That's dark pink. Okay? Frater is going to be third declension. It ends in and hominum we have a second time. So we've already figured that one out. All right, that's all of our words underlined. So now we're going to come down and do our verbs. Est means is, or there is. So we don't know which one we're going to need yet. Or he, she, it is. So we're just going to bring down this is, and we'll go ahead and bring down this is while we're at it. All right, now the only thing in front of this is our Christus, and the us is our subject, because here is our chart. Christus is the Christ, or in our case, just Christ. You only use the when it's not a person. Christus is just the subject for Christ right there. Christ is what? Christ is. Rex means king. And why is it an X? Because, well, on the chart it is various. Rex is the nominative form for Rex Regis, which is king. And just as in essentials, it is a predicate nominative which points back. And in that case, it keeps the same ending. So Christus is in the nominative ending. Rex is in its nominative ending. You'll notice the endings don't match because this is second declension and this is third declension. So this is the second declension, subject nominative ending. This is the third declension, subject nominative ending. Because it's pointing back to the subject, it is also a subject ending. I hope that was clear and not overstated. So we're going to write king. There we go. Okay. Homonum. We saw that it was third declension, so we need to go find what homonum means. So we're going to come down to and it is of the. And homo hominum, homo hominis means man. So this is going to be of the, and it's plural, so it'll be men, of the men. Of the men. Sed means but. Okay, we already have our is. Frater. All right. For frater, we have frater, fratris. Yes, we do. Frater, fratris. And it's third declension because of the and the is. And so we're going to look up on here. Oh, again, that's going to be various. Yes, it is. It is various. So that just means it is nominative. This is its nominative ending. I should have said that. I said it was frater, fratris, and I forgot that that automatically means that that is the nominative ending. So we're going to say the brother. And we have homonum here, and we had homonum here, so that's of the men. We've already translated that one. Of the men. There you go. So Christ is king of the men, but is the brother of the men. So obviously we have some extra thes in there that are not necessary in English. Christ is king of men, but is, and of course this is still referring back to our subject. And so we could add a he if we wanted to, but he is the brother of men. Or we could leave it out. It still makes sense. So there were two, and you got to see me struggle with my brain and trying to remember frater there. But that's all I do when I am at home and prepping for school. I will write it all out, underline it in the colors, and then every single one, unless I know it automatically, I bring the chart down and I just look it up on the chart and see what it means, and that's all. So I hope this is helpful for you guys as you are starting into Lex and Pars. I don't think we have any exercises where we are required to go from English into Latin after we have learned Pars. We might have a few little phrases, but we don't have any big sentences like this because going back into Latin is a little bit harder. I'm sure they'll give us that next time. So I hope this is helpful and it helps you with your homework, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks.